Hmm. Who is that?
Okay, guys, we are live on the stream.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Nino. How's it going?
Hey, hi everybody. It's good. Fine, thank you. And you?
Pretty good. It's a nice day out. Can't complain.
When here in UK is a bit cloudy. It's always.
It's cloudy. Oh man.
Yeah, it's cloudy.
All right. Let's see how many people did we get registered for this. Let me pull it up real quick. I invited Bill Gates, but and Jeff Bezos. They say they'll check their calendar, get back to me. I was like, don't you guys want to see the face off? These are your folks. These are your people. I'm just kidding. I really did invite them though.
Let's wait some time.
All right, we got Matthew. Hi, Matthew. How are you? Yeah, 40 registration. So I figure 20 will probably pop up. Matthew, you know you can unmute if you want.
Yeah, I'm trying to now. Okay, hi guys.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Great.
Welcome to TechVerzuz.
Good. I saw your last verses with Boyd.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to watch this one.
So who was your pick for that one?
Well,
Oh man. All right, let's talk about this one. Who you got?
so I do currently I just left the company I worked for, but I did Azure in-house. So
Okay.
but I'm biased. I like AWS, so it's depends on which direction this goes.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, you're gonna learn a lot, man. I got some cards for you.
This is the best answer.
It's a lot riding on this webinar.
Yeah.
This is always we do.
Yeah.
Let me guess, you're a PCI guy, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, that explains why you were hesitant to declare me the winner. That's all right. Big shout out to Boyd Cluis, man. That's my guy. You can't go wrong either way, PCI or NIST. I'm sure Wayne and Nino would not even think about touching security compliance documentation.
Oh,
No, I'm a PCI DSS guy as well.
Oh no!
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Just take the dagger out, Wayne. Just take the dagger out. Oh no! All right. Can't seem to win. That's because you've never really messed with federal. You've always been private. That's my excuse. All right, guys, 11:04. We're gonna go ahead and get started in about 1 minute. I was trying something different with you guys doing this thing during the day. I heard that when you do webinars at this specific time, you get the most turnout. I'm starting to rethink that theory.
Oh.
What is it? So it's Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, which is
Yeah.
known as Friday Eve.
Yeah.
Most folks on Friday are not working probably. So
Right.
now is a pretty good time.
I thought it was too, but apparently I should have kept it in the evening. But yeah, either way, we're gonna have a heck of a show and we're gonna record it all so they'll catch it when they have time. All right, guys, we'll get started in 1 minute. Hi, Jamie. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get this party started. All right, we are live on YouTube, and we are getting ready to get this rolling. All right, guys. So welcome to another round of TechVerzuz. Appreciate everyone that's dialed in and everyone that's watching us live on YouTube. And no doubt, appreciate our audience. I have a special day TechVerzuz for you guys today. It is AWS versus Azure. Let me see your mean face, guy. Arrgh, let's square off to one of these like boxing matches. No, I'm just kidding. It's all love, guys. Of course, we're here to have an entertaining and educating webinar, right? And what that means is, we have this premise of which side's better, and these guys are going to advocate for their respective cloud. But at the end of the day, we just want to learn, want to have a good time, want to have a great conversation, and just get things out there for you folks that are listening in. So with that said, let me go ahead and introduce our all-star team here. To my left, I have Wayne Wang, who is representing AWS today. All right. Thank you for joining us, Wayne. Wayne has a very long history with AWS. He's worked with AWS. He's one of their technical account manager there. And now he's a distinguished engineer with Capital One. Heck of a title, but I'm sure he deserves it all. So Wayne, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you. And on the other side of the fence, we've got our security ninja, our cloud security expert, all the way from the United Kingdom, guys. We've got the one and only Nino Crudell joining us to represent for Microsoft Azure. Thank you so much for joining us, Nino.
You're very welcome. My pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Mine as well, man. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it, right? We have about an hour to really get everything out there. So we're going to start with a question. We're going to go 4 separate questions. You each are going to either talk or display or whatever it is that you have up your sleeve and advocate for your respective area, whether it's AWS or Azure. Each side have 3, at most 5 minutes to discuss or tell us or show us whatever they want to show or tell. And we'll go back and forth with 4 different questions. And at the end of this webinar, we're going to put up a poll, a fun poll on LinkedIn and see who you guys think is best or which career path you think is best for you to take. All right. So with that said, let's do with round 1. Anybody want to go first? Should we flip a coin?
Flip a coin.
All right, let's flip a coin, y'all. Here's my invisible coin. You can't see it. It's new technology. All right, Nino, call it. Heads or tail?
Tail.
Tail. Okay.
Yeah.
Wayne, it was heads. Wayne, do you want to go first or second?
Let's go alphabetical. Nino, go ahead and go first.
Okay. All right.
Come on.
First shot.
I'm being polite.
All right. So round 1. Nino, how do you know if you should migrate to Microsoft or use Microsoft Azure?
Well, I would say I like to pick up some of my experience in life here because, since cloud has just came up, I came from a long history, from integration, developer, all these kind of things. I worked many years in integration. And even before Microsoft Azure, it was just Microsoft Azure. And when everything was a kind of evolution, and it was a kind of crazy evolution. Actually, I got to all this evolution, and that was insane, actually insane, and especially from speaking about Microsoft, right? Because AWS, I would say, he actually has a more, I would say, long history back on cloud than Microsoft.
True.
Right. So, and when I remember it was during 2012 and so on. Microsoft Azure was just a service bus, and after just some years, how many? Just 10, whatever. Now Microsoft Azure is really, really crazy full of stuff. That is absolutely unbelievable. Even looking about the extension of the network data center across the world, everywhere, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is one of the points that usually I like to pick up when people look and think about when I'm going to understand I need to move in the cloud, all these kind of things. To be honest, from my experience, I spent the last 5 years leading a global cloud infrastructure for a global company. And we start, migrating stuff in Microsoft Azure from wherever part of the world. And the issue was always this question: is this something that I need to do? Why do I need to move in the cloud? And that's, for me, was a big challenge. Because think about leading a global company. I mean, I was leading a global company. I was leading a global cloud, the cloud infrastructure, 8 different enterprise agreements, 8 different on-premise data centers. So that was crazy. A lot of this kind of question, I'm going to save money. Why do I need to do that? So what I did, I started conducting a research. I produced some stuff and documentation and a guidance. One of them was the cloud adoption decision metrics. That was a document. I can show you this document, part of this document. And what was done was a kind of research and looking about when it's actually better to stay on premise, when go to the cloud and not. First of all, I would say the cost factor a lot. It is very related to the business because the business now is completely changed. It's not the same anymore. So we have a very high scaling demanding in business now. That's crazy. And achieving this high scaling demanding using on-premise technology right now is very, very complex. Something that I think is much, much easier using cloud. I'm speaking now about Azure AWS now. I'm just speaking about a concept now, nothing more than that. It's just much easier on the cloud side and using cloud technology to manage.
Hey, we've got 60. I have to give you a 60-second warning before your 5-minute ends. So
yeah. So in my opinion, something you need to do is about looking the cost and benefit about you having and driving your business using on-premise technologies or not. Using my studies, I discovered that using, for instance, just virtual machine and so on, after a utilization under 30% is not convenient to use on-premise technology at all. Okay. So it's better to just switch on in the cloud, right? And apart from that, of course, there are things in other discussion that I cannot actually engage in.
No doubt.
Because there are a lot of different challenges, like to embrace too much cloud technology and to be too much Azure friendly or too much.
All right.
Wherever.
Thank you, Nino. Time's up. Got to throw a flag on the play there. Let's swing over to the other side to Wayne. Wayne, how do I know if I should migrate to the cloud or even use AWS cloud?
So that's funny you asked that because one of my interview questions that I asked the interviewer when I was joining Amazon Web Services a few years ago was, tell me a use case where the cloud is not the best choice. And it's actually very difficult nowadays, given the breadth of functionality that you see that's offered in all the public cloud space. Well, I mean, first off, I do want to acknowledge what Nino talked about, which is cost savings. So essentially, while you move to AWS, it really allows you as a company or you as a business to trade your capital expenses for variable expenses. So essentially, you're paying for IT as you consume it. The whole pricing model of the public cloud is that it's pay as you go, meaning that if you're not using your service, if you're not using anything, then you're not paying for anything. And if you really do need to expand quickly, which one of the points that Amazon talks a lot about is agility, which is you can really spin up your resources as fast and as much as you need them, and you deploy globally within minutes, which is pretty amazing when you think about all the applications we've seen in the past. When you think about, as a personal consumer, when you think about Black Friday, Cyber Monday shopping, nowadays it's really a lot rare for you to see websites being down while you're trying to spam the website, because when folks are designing their architectures, building them cloud natively, you have this resiliency and breadth of functionality in AWS that's built in that really allows you as a business to be able to serve your customers. Awesome. And then again, with being global nowadays, when you think about what's been going on with the pandemic, Think about all the businesses that have pivoted their businesses online in such a short period amount of time. None of this really would have been possible without the cloud.
Absolutely. Thank you, Wayne. Now, I do want to let the audience know, you mentioned one big word I think you should pay attention to, which is Capex, right? And what Capex mean is essentially the hardware, right? You no longer have to go buy the hardware and that starting infrastructure that's required. But in the cloud, you literally can get a super machine just like that with a click of a button. Was that kind of what you meant by that, Wayne?
Yeah, really. And some of the workloads I've seen a lot of customers do in the past is when you think about machine learning. Machine learning is something that can be extremely expensive in terms of compute. Now, if you really have a quick idea, you really want to test out your algorithm or something really quick, you in the past you had one option, which is you have to go buy a very beefy machine or server for you to serve this. But now if you really just want to shoot that idea, just do it for a couple of days, spin up resources, spin up something within Amazon, within AWS, then test it out. If it works, great. Let's keep figuring that out. If not, then that's
Start
it.
fresh. Yeah.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're not stuck with it. Thank you, Wayne. All right. That concludes round one, guys. Ding, ding. I really got to give me a bell. Gotta give me a belt, one of those boxing ring belts. Ding. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do round two. Round two, we're gonna go back to you, Wayne, since Nino went first the last time.
All right.
This time, my question to you is, what are the types of problems that you've been able to solve at using AWS technology?
Problems I've seen solved using AWS. So I did mention about things like Black Friday shopping.
Sorry.
Is that your cell phone?
Sorry. Yeah.
He's trying to ice you, Wayne. He's trying to ice you.
It's all good.
Sorry.
that was me calling him, by the way.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
So problems we seem solved. So think about very large scale events. There are things like Super Bowl events, Black Friday events. If you think about Black Friday right now, I think Black Friday is the same as Amazon Prime Day for Amazon. And all of these things are hosted on Amazon Web Services. And think about the burst and scale that folks are accessing websites, processing transactions, and so forth. It's really nice to be able to provision these resources, leveraging the cloud. When you think about things like MMORPG games, massively multiplayer online games in the past, I think about games like in a large scale, like World of Warcraft in the past, where AWS wasn't available at the time. So just think about how many servers Blizzard Entertainment had to buy and set up at the time. Now, a lot of MMO games are leveraging the cloud just to be able to hit that massive scale. Okay. In my personal experience, I've worked with a lot of things in the financial exchange or securities space. So when you think about massive storages and massive processing, these are very large problems for very large companies now. But imagine, again, as an individual user, going back to that machine learning idea, if let's say you had a really cool website idea, you had a really cool product you want to sell. Now, if you're hosting this, in the past, you'd be hosting this probably on a PC under your desk. Now, imagine if it's a really great idea and now your site gets spammed. Your site's going to go down. But with the elasticity, resiliency built in with AWS for your well-designed architecture, that's not going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Great response. All right, let's move it over to Nino's side. Nino, what you got, man? Azure. What type of problems have you solved using Azure technology?
Well, I would say a lot. I know many problems. Let's pick up, more about how I would say Azure changed the way to work and what actually the problem solved. First of all, with Azure contains a lot of technology inside, and what actually I've got in my experience the way to think about the business, develop the business, create the business and technologies, everything and so on, is so fast now, so much faster and quicker than before with on-premise. Before, I remember with on-premise, hardware, decide this, use this technology here, install the server, do this kind of things, everything, teach people knowledge, everything. Now everything is there in the cloud, in Azure, right? So you can quickly spin up Azure function, and people just very quickly can scale up technology like that. They can actually create website, storage a large amount of data like nothing. Before it was just crazy. I mean, I'm over 50, right? So I'm here since a long time. I remember the time when we start, every time for a big solution, I deploy a lot of big solution in my career. But I remember, the discussion about, okay, we need to store a large amount of Teradata and wherever, any kind of crazy discussion deciding what kind of hardware you need, wherever you need to do a plan. About the Capex, that was the main discussion every time, because you need to decide at first how much you're going to invest, because there is a lot of hardware, a lot of commitment, a lot of things. With cloud now, with Azure, it's so simple. You just start and planning wherever you need to plan and start the building. And in the during, you can just scale up and scale up and scale up and scale up your solution without a really big first commitment. This is what I think is the massive problem first. The second one, because I'm a security guy, I think is the security. That's for sure. But there is one little things that people need to understand. There is the massive difference there is in terms of security landscape from on-premise to the cloud, which is completely different. But that is just a manner about, I would say, semantic. It's about understanding, how actually, I'm happy to speak later about that a bit more. But for me, the way that you install your stuff in the cloud, and actually you have in Azure, you have a security center immediately out of the box, is actually monitoring everything, alerting, auditing, everything around, policies apply for compliance by default. A lot of things that before was actually impossible to manage, right? So now you just install a virtual machine, and actually the virtual machine is just under audit, security, everything. You have a lot of things that before was actually very complex to discuss and to implement, right? So that's for me is
awesome.
A new evolution.
No doubt, no doubt. And me having an AZ500 myself, I could definitely attest to the fact that Azure is loaded with security controls. Absolutely.
A lot of, maybe sometimes too much, but
sometimes too much.
Maybe sometimes too much. Maybe sometimes too many, but you can avoid, right? Sometimes say, well, I don't really care about that.
I can see that.
I never thought there'd be a day where a security guy would say maybe this thing has a little bit too much security.
It's just that granular. It's crazy. It is crazy. All right, guys, let's fly over to the other side of the cloud here. We're going back to AWS. No, I'm sorry. No, we're not. We're staying right here with Azure because it is Nino's turn to answer round 3. So let's get it. Nino, follow-up question. If you could change anything about Azure, what would that be? And by the way, if you want to mention a few things that you want to change about your across the board here in AWS, throw a little punch there. You're more than welcome to do so. Not that I'm instigating, but you tell me. If you could change anything about Azure, what would it be?
Okay. This is an unfair question because I'm technology agnostic. So I usually, since I start using a computer, when I look at technology, for me, I look at technology like a kid playing with toys, and just looking at that and say, okay, what is that? And I start moving stuff and just judging like that. I'm not. And when I look at Azure and in my career, something that for me I would change in a way is the way Microsoft start building stuff like, that's and a lot of things, a lot. Sometimes I would say sometime I feel a bit of overlapping, across some of the things around. Maybe I would say that I'm not going to be bad with AWS at all. I think I'm going to say something that will be bad with AWS. But AWS is just to have a more historical consolidation, about stuff, everything. So I have my organization stuff, all this technology, all the things. Microsoft has got such large investment, in the last year, building a lot of stuff and pushing stuff around and so on in the cloud. I would say if I need not change, but implement a bit more, is more about a kind of, I would say, a bit more guidance, and structure about, I would say positioning, about technology inside. Like event hubs for that, stream analytics for that, the organization across the architecture. And this is something that they're actually doing now. I'm happy with that because now you can refer to the Microsoft Azure well-architected framework, which is something that actually you have. Let me do this very quickly. That's my screen. Yeah, you can see my screen now. This is the Microsoft well-architected framework. So this is something that AWS already has, and Microsoft started implementing. They start 2 years ago, start building these things, this documentation, very well done, right? So you can also have this in AWS. So is and this is something that I think I would say, yeah, I like to see this much more. I would say, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well architected framework. I got to get right up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, let's move over to this other side of the fence. Back to Wayne. Wayne, if there is something that you could change, anything about AWS, what would it be? And again, if you find some issues with Azure, feel free to poke at it.
That wouldn't be too fair of a question, just because as Nino pointed out too, first, I do want to acknowledge the well-architected framework. So in my time at Amazon Web Services, we did a lot of what we call well-architected reviews. And it's essentially, we worked with customers to talk about how to really deep dive within their architecture, within their POCs, to say, well, is my design well-architected? Is my application well-architected? We do hit up those different 5 pillars, essentially to talk about how do we what are best practices? How do I make sure my application is well architected so that we take the full advantage of what it means to build cloud native? If there are some things I would change, I thought about this as a personal user. One thing I would do is probably change the certification. This might be true for Microsoft as well, and for both Microsoft and AWS. I feel the certification process is a little bit too easy, just because it's all multiple choice, right? When you go into a real job, you're not going to have a multiple choice selection for challenging real questions. I vaguely recall reading an article somewhere about some company that they don't want to hire paper architects, and I agree with that 100%. In the past, if you're familiar with Red Hat certifications, it's a hands-on exam, and it's not something that anyone can walk in and be a good guesser and just pass. Something else I would like to change is probably, as a personal user as well, is free tier AWS. So if you're not familiar with free tier, is that when you open an AWS account, is that there's a first amount of compute power and some services is that within the first 12 months, or in some services actually is continuous, is that there's a free tier, meaning that if your resources are below a certain amount, it's free. Now, it's very enticing for anyone new to say, well, I want to learn AWS, I want to learn the cloud, so let me create a free tier account because things are free. But I read Reddit a lot, and I do see a lot of folks do get accidentally tripped up on some unexpected bills. I wish there was a way where free tier, you can say, I want this to remain as a free account while I experiment, so that no one gets hit with these surprise bills. I think this is something that Amazon's really great in terms of work. We call it working backwards with from the customer. Now, given Amazon's breadth of functionality with all things with AWS, over 90% of the features were actually coming from the customers, meaning that we don't design our products thinking, oh, what do the customers want? What do we think the customers will want? We actually get these requirements from our customers so that we know what do we build on the roadmap for our customers. Now, free tier is one of those things. Maybe it's not enough folks that are asking for it because most of I would say a lot of our businesses is from very large customers solving really complex problems. But as an individual user, think about a student, right? Free tier means a lot.
No doubt, man. Definitely want to echo the whole exam thing. Oh man, you hit my spot right there when you mentioned that, because I got my AZ 500. I went in the lab, did all the stuff, and then I took the test, and I was hoping for something, and it was all multiple choice. So I was like, where's the, I didn't really feel like that hump, you know what I mean? So I'm totally with you.
Hold on. You prepared for an exam not knowing the format of the exam?
No, I did. No, here's the thing.
Okay.
When I prepared for it, they said that there was going to be some portion that would have been maybe hands-on lab, like at least a simulation of sorts, right? So they say expect that. At least that's why I was advised from the class that I took. So I was hoping for at least that, but it was completely all multiple choice. So I was a little bit like, I took a multiple choice exam, right? But I would have liked, now CH practical, that's all hands-on. You get in the lab, black box, you hack your way into it. I love that. In fact, we teach that here at pjcourses.com. Yeah, we're all about the hands-on exam. And I really do wish that AWS and Microsoft can give us some hands-on exam, guys. Let's show, right? Let people prove that they know their stuff. You know what I mean?
I don't like certification. So
yeah.
Sorry,
all right, I digress though. So back to you, Wayne. My next question. This is round 4, final round. Any tricks up your sleeve? Let's have it. What advice do you have for someone trying to get into AWS? What would you tell them?
Trying to get into AWS or use AWS?
I'm sorry, get started in AWS. And I guess more like career. I think most of the people will probably want to hear, how do I become an AWS guru like you?
Okay. So I think no amount of reading will actually substitute for real experience for anyone. Like I used to be an engineer, so I don't think you can read. There's no amount of reading that's going to substitute hands-on experience. So I think for anyone who wants to start out using AWS, really just get in there, try to set something up within Amazon. So yes, there is free tier. Free tier is free for you to sign up for an account and start building something. Really get comfortable with what AWS offers. I would say there's a million different ways you can set up a website within AWS. There are easy ways, there are more complicated ways. By easy, I mean opinionated, meaning that AWS will actually do a lot of the legwork for you to get from point A to point B. Now, when we talk about more complex problems, now think about your website again, or whatever service it is that you're providing. Think about how you would design it initially for just one user, for yourself. Then you think about how would you scale this up for 10 users, for 100, for 1,000, for 10,000, until all the way up to 10 or 100 million users. There's a lot of added complexity for this. Now, when you're talking about 100 million users, you're no longer just talking about folks on your street. You're thinking about globally. You think about all the different things like Nino mentioned within the well-architected framework. Now, once you've done these, not necessarily scaling up to 100 million, but just think about how scaling works and so forth. What are some things that you have to think about? Start watching some of the videos that we have from AWS reInvent. A lot of these are really cool videos that AWS customers and AWS solution architects have been solving very complex problems for customers. And then a lot of white papers are actually pretty good reads. White paper sounds boring, but a lot of the white papers from Amazon actually talks about what are best practices. And a lot of it really challenges how you think about how a service should work. And once you've done this, I recommend taking opportunities to build on the job if you have that opportunity. Learn as much as you can, and also attend AWS reInvent or any of the AWS summits if possible.
Great advice, man. Great advice indeed. Let's go over back to my man, Nino. Nino, I'm trying to get into Azure. right? What advice do you have for me? I want to have a career like you. I want to be able to, find vulnerabilities and things like that. I do want to talk about that later. But yeah, what advice do you have for someone trying to get into Azure?
I just thank you, Wayne, for starting. So I had the time to pick up one of the slides I use in one of my events. So this is actually one of the questions I always take in any event I do everywhere. How you can get in Microsoft Azure in the best way. This is how I see it from my experience. So for me, the most important things, I'm just speaking my experience in time, is you first need to understand about the very base of the infrastructure. So you need to understand how actually the cloud works behind the scene. You need to understand what actually a cloud is, the backbone, how it actually is organized, all these kinds of topic. And after engaging with governance, because I see a lot of people starting working with the cloud, and just start spinning up things, subscription or wherever it is. I can guarantee you, I've met so many people working with the cloud and telling them, hey, what is your subscription? And the answer is, what you're speaking about? I said, well, that's all good, all right? So it's not good you're working the cloud, you don't even know what a subscription is, okay? And this is what's happened because people just start working in the cloud, they jump in and they do, okay, I started working Logic App, I'm a developer. Okay, I'm an expert in Azure, or wherever it is. They just start playing with stuff, Logic App or function or wherever it is, but they don't have an understanding about what is going around here, networking, infrastructure, or wherever it is. So you need to get this base for sure. And for that, if you can just look about strategy, cost, these kind of things, understanding. So you start understanding about when you do stuff in cloud, there's a cost, right? This is not something, everything you do in the cloud is a cost. So you need to be aware about all these things and security and networking. For me, I think networking is the base. You cannot even think to work in the cloud without networking understanding. You need to have this. That is a must because everything is actually depending by networking in the cloud because cloud is working by data center and by region. And that is a must inside the cloud. See, if you don't get this point, how actually these transaction data are working across the globe, everything, you cannot absolutely even think about creating an architecture or wherever you want. Security, of course, that's a very important point. You can engage security at the level you want. And after that, when you have this background, then you can decide about what kind of area in the cloud you want really specialized, like artificial intelligence, Power BI or business intelligence, integration, or that. You cannot pick up everything because it's massive. So you just pick up one of the area after that. And Microsoft in the side is offering you this for free. This is a learn path, is the Microsoft Academy. That's for free. It's full of stuff, training, courses, and you can spin up an Azure account for nothing, for free. You have a cap cost of $150, $70, something like that. But you can also use here in virtual labs and so on. So you don't spend no money, nothing, but you can play with virtual machine, all these kind of things. So that is, I think, is the best way to do that. Certification, of course, I'm with Wayne about certification and completely 100%. And no, 100%, because you know what is the problem? Too many people cheating. Too many people cheating everywhere. We need to be honest. I mean, I got interview with people with 20 certification, security certification in any kind of technology, even VMware, Cisco, all these kind of things. I made a question like, you know what a SIEM system is? I don't know. Well, what the heck? How you got this certification? So that's for me in this way. I mean, certification, if you do certification, honestly, that is good. Okay, it can help you. That's for sure. Hands-on certification for sure. I'm looking to prepare for the OACP certification security. That's something really insane stuff. So it's 24-hour exam, hands-on exam, 24 hours.
Hey, Nino, I want that too, man. Let's do it.
that is something, that is a tick must, I'm just, that's something I like to do. So let's see. I'm preparing on this. So it's not easy.
Awesome, guys. Wow, 4 rounds and the time just went by just like that. Guys, you can't find this anywhere else. I mean, we're between these two guys. Check them out on LinkedIn if you don't believe me. Check their resume. I mean, you literally will, if they charge for this, and they're not charging me, thankfully. Don't send me a bill, guys, please. But if they charge for this, it's the wealth of information you guys just got right now. It's incredible. I mean, any cloud person, I dare any cloud person to tell me otherwise, because this has been just amazing. The wealth of information. Replay this video. For those cloud aspiring folks, replay it again and listen to the words of wisdom that they've imparted upon you guys. So guys, thank you both so much once again. Before we go into Q&A, before we get into the Q&A session, I do want to touch up on one thing. Me and Nino, and the three of us was chatting before we started this call, and Nino was telling me how he just picked up a bug bounty in Azure, right? You discovered a vulnerability. You mind just giving us a quick few minutes on that? Because I think that was like amazing, man. If you just tell us a little bit about it.
Oh, okay. No. Do you want to see the vulnerability?
Yeah, heck yeah, I'd love to see it. Man,
all right. Okay.
Get my popcorn ready.
All right, let's play with that. So,
nice.
Guys, what I'm going to show you is this is
kids don't try this at home.
Yeah, no, you can try this at home, but but actually, I mean, I sent this back to the bug hunting, and I'm telling you what is actually the reply for that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say this. I was playing with code during my security research, all right? And during that, I was looking about attack cloud containers using reverse shell attack. And I start developing some code in the meantime and just trying to spin up some of the stuff I need to simulate this attack. What actually reverse shell attack is, what you're going to do is, I'm going to start up this Linux machine because this is going to be the attacker machine, okay? Firewall block import, right? The point is our application, they actually need to speak outside, okay? Using HTTPS, wherever it is. So the base of a reverse shell attack is exactly this one. So the attacker is going to send a malware to the target machine, and the target machine execute the malware. The malware is going to call the attacker, opening a reverse shell. And actually the attacker get access inside the machine. Yeah. Okay, that's very nasty attack.
And for those that are wondering about a reverse TCP, is that what it is? Reverse TCP, right? A reverse TCP shell? Is that what it is?
Okay. That's it. This is one of my last session I did for that. This is a slide here.
Right.
Is this one. This is actually a reverse shell attack.
Yeah. Basically, you get control of the victim machine, essentially, guys. Backdoor control.
Yeah, that is actually because it's actually the meaning of backdoor. So now I spin up this machine. This is a Linux machine. Apologize, I'm using Windows now. Usually I use see if I use Linux. That's my I see. I don't even see here. Okay, let me do it this way then. This one. This is interesting. You can install Linux in Windows. I don't know if you aware about that. That is something interesting because here you can see is a Kali Linux machine, engine, kernel, installing Microsoft Windows, is actually accessing directly also to the Windows folder, everything NTF. So this is very interesting. So you can even spin up the UI if you want. So what I'm doing here, I'm using netcat. Sudo, okay, I don't have here sudo nc, and because this one is oh, come on, let me show the other side. Where is it? Let me find this one. Where is netcat? Apologize. Let me see. I don't even, oh gosh. Okay, let me show you. I don't find that anymore.
Hey, Nino, you know how computers are, man. When they know you're live, they just like
mean,
go against you.
You didn't pray to the demo gods before.
But they it never fails, man. Never fails. But yeah, don't feel pressure, bro. We could definitely do a follow-up on this. I definitely want to see it. You want to just maybe tell us, well, actually you told us, but yeah, let's book maybe some time later, right? Because I know we're probably running out of time. I do want to go to QA and where you can maybe simulate.
Yeah, just go with the QA. In the meantime, you can hear.
All right, sweet. All right, so QA session. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for us? Feel free to unmute your mic and let us know while Nino plays around with this with Azure. Okay.
No question? No question. Don't be shy. Take the opportunity to, you can.
Yeah, well, while we're waiting for questions to come in, I do want to add one more point. I think Nino talked about networking being an essential part of learning the public cloud.
Right.
This I find extremely important, just because in the past, I mean, Nino's probably been in the industry longer than I have. I've been in the tech industry for over 20 years now. And in the past, when I started as a developer, your essential your scope of responsibilities was really just writing your code. At most, you'd interface with your database. But as you start designing more and more complex applications, as you work with more and more complex applications, your scope of understanding of the technology stack changes drastically. I think even 10 years ago, you really had people who were siloed in terms of, oh, here's a developer, here's a DBA, but the cloud has really shaken that entire concept, just because you can't really get away with just being a developer without understanding how some of your how your infrastructure scales. I worked a lot in the serverless space. So being serverless is that you no longer manage your servers at all. Serverless, if you're not familiar with this, there's essentially, think about functions as a service. You, as an application developer, you normally write code, your code sits on a server and it runs for an X amount of time, and that's that much compute. But with serverless in AWS is that your function is only going to be charged for the execution time for that function, which is pretty amazing. Now we're not talking about, oh, I have a server up for hours or days. We're talking about milliseconds at this point. So given that, you have to understand exactly what your function is doing, how does it scale, and back to Nino's point as well, what about security? What are my functions? What is my data? Who can see my data? How is my function interfacing with all of these other downstream resources? You really have to step back and understand, how does this all work together, rather than I'm just good at databases. Right.
No doubt. Hey, so which AWS, let me ask you this, because I think a lot of people, yes, you definitely want that hands-on experience. And I think some beginners might think, well, I still want a cert and I want that experience. Which cert would be great for you to say, I get the best of both? I have a cert, and because I've learned this cert, I have a lot of experience.
So the one that most people go for first is the Solutions Architect Associate exam. Okay. That one is pretty good in the sense that it provides enough where you can understand. It really peeks into, of course, it is catered to AWS, but it is for you to say, okay, this gives me a very high level understanding of what it means to be in the cloud. Meaning that if I want to build something that's compute-based, database, streaming, pretty much it's wide breadth of knowledge to be able to obtain the associate SA cert. But I think it's a great place to start. There's a lot of training courses out there that talks about this and that trains you for this certification. And I think if you get that cert, you don't really need hands-on experience to do it, though it is a lot easier if you do. just because there's a lot of acronyms and terminology within AWS that you really have to get familiar with.
Right.
But I would recommend that as a first stop.
Awesome. Hey, Nino, how's it going?
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry. Okay, apologies, guys.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I am so tired.
This is live. Yeah.
I am so tired. I'm so tired. You know what I was doing? I was executing netcat from my local machine, from the Kali WSL in my local machine, which is not installed. But I need to execute the netcat from the Linux cloud machine. Sorry, I just connected now.
Oh no! It's always the simplest thing.
Come on, guys. Oh my gosh, I need to sleep. So anyway,
oh no, I'm sorry.
I apologize. So this is the Linux machine in the cloud. So I just connected by SSH. I executed the netcat. Netcat is a networking tool used by administrator.
Okay.
And by hacker, of course, to open a reverse shell attack. So I just opened this one. Mm-hmm. That is the code. I was playing with code, studying this kind of attack. This one is the DNS from the machine opening from the 443 port, which is a common port, okay? And the first time I start building this code, okay, I'm going to show you what actually happened. So you understand how I actually discovered this attack. Mm-hmm. So I execute the Visual Studio, and when I execute the Visual Studio, I got this. That's his Defender. It's blocking me. All right. I say, okay, whatever. Okay. So I started developing and so on, and Defender was hitting me.
Oh gosh.
Okay. How I can avoid something like that? So I can evade Defender. So I started looking about what Defender was doing. You know what I discovered? Defender was actually checking a variable set in memory and so on, which is this one. You can see here, right? So I start thinking, okay, can I do something like that in a different way? And actually there is a possibility, and it is using reflection. So code reflection is a technique you use when instead of using declarative object, you are going to use dictionary object. So you're going inside the object, looking for the object, asking for the type of object, and the object is going to retrieve you what you're asking for. Okay. So what I like to call like a code masking. I like to call this technique like that, because actually I'm masking code now. Because what you read here is exactly this one, but in a different way. That's it.
Okay.
Right? So after that, look what's happened. Start executing the code. This is the machine in the cloud. I execute.
Wow.
Bam. You see here on the left, there, that's my machine.
Right.
And look in here. That's it. But you've seen just before Defender was enabled. Everything is enabled.
Yeah.
And also I can do stuff like that. Notepad. That's my notepad.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Because actually I'm actually the user.
Yeah.
Machine.
Wow.
I can do whatever I want at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's for me, and that's for me, And I cannot give you the idea about what's happened after that, because I sent actually this one to the bounty hunting program.
Yeah, and they paid you for it, right?
No.
They didn't? What?
They didn't.
Oh, they should have paid you for that. Bill Gates, what's going on, my man? We got
because you know what they replied to me, the security engineer, and I want your opinion on that, especially you, Wayne, and the guys here. And the opinion was, oh, this is not really a security issue. This is a signature issue.
Right, a signature they don't have in their database.
You know what they mean for that? They mean that, which in one sense it makes sense, right? Because to execute some code in a machine, you need to be signed. Okay, you need to be trust. So you need to have a certificate, sign the code, and then you can execute inside the machine. That's okay. That makes sense. Okay. The problem I see here is completely different. And SolarWind attack is actually teaching us a very important lesson.
Yeah.
Actually inject this code in any kind of application or wherever you want, and it's going to be executed by a signed.
I just have to trick one person.
It's actually working, right?
Yeah.
I can give you an example about that, which is very, very easy, which is this one. This one is very that's one scenario I build just to explain this concept, right? So this is a Kubernetes cluster hosting a web application. Think about a developer is actually using this code, okay? Downloading from DevOps, everything like that, wherever it is. Someone inject this code inside the web application.
Exactly.
He's going even to start the application, right? So it's doing this. Let me do this in the meantime. Okay, close this one and reopen. Okay, so this one, Visual Studio, is start. Where is it? Start. Where is it? Where actually put this one? Where is it? Yeah. Okay, start, please. Okay. All right. So this is the application, right? So I put a button just, to be for the demo, okay? But think about it's executing code, and this code is inside here. All right. So when it's going to be executed, this is what's happened. You see on the right, I got access. But this is Visual Studio. Visual Studio is a legal application. It's been said. So it's a Microsoft tools for developer, right? And this code is actually running inside Visual Studio right now.
Right.
And the hacker at the moment got access inside the developer machine.
Right.
That is a folder, for the project.
Right.
I also experiment the same thing inside the cloud. I've been able to attack Docker. I've been able to attack function. Anything it can be contained.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Great work, Nino.
That's so.
Yeah. I personally think you deserve some recognition for that. But hey, it is what it is. Hey guys, we are almost out of time. Man, that was crazy. Again, Nino, thanks so much. I'm trying hard not to call you Nino Brown. I don't know why. Nino, I appreciate it, man. Wayne, thanks for stopping by, man. We didn't even dig into half of the stuff these guys, not even 2% of what these guys know. Feel free to reach out to them directly on LinkedIn if you guys want. Just give them a shout out, just kudos, and just get on our YouTube page, PJ Pros. Tell us what you think. Join our YouTube, our LinkedIn group page as well. Tell us what you think about what we just heard here today. This has been amazing, guys. I had so much fun with you guys. Just thank you both for coming in and just hanging out with me and just talking and ignoring my instigating ways. But yeah, I mean, I think we all win. AWS is amazing. Azure is amazing. The key part is just have passion in what you do. You guys obviously have passion in what you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be at the levels that you're at right now. Nino, is there any way people can plug into you? I know you're like a UK rock star.
The last things I want to say is, especially the last things that I show all the guys here, and they will see this in the video. Why I show you this? Just be careful about security, guys, because this is what exactly happened. Don't underestimate anything. Use people that are going to, look about your security, especially your code, everything, such source engineering, check the code, all these kind of things. This is why it's so important,
Yes, all them developers out there, keep that in mind, right? Because at the end of the day, reverse TCP shell requires that click.
This is why a white hacker like me, they communicate people these kind of things, because they need to be aware about this kind of threat.
Exactly.
What may happen.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And if you plan to be a white hat hacker like Nino, hack responsibly. Don't have FBI knocking on your door because you're trying to pull a Nino on somebody else's system. Make sure you have permission. Just want to put that out there. All right, guys. Any last words? Final words for this webinar, Wayne?
No, thanks for having me, and thanks for the chat, Nino.
Thank you so much, Wayne. It's been a great pleasure. Finally meeting an expert on AWS in the chat. Maybe we have the opportunity to speak again together. I would like to have some nice chat with you, because
no doubt. All right, guys, that's it. AWS versus Azure. You guys get to decide which one do you prefer, right? Join us as we continue the conversation on our LinkedIn group page, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Signing out.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, take care, everybody.